YouTube. Okay, on YouTube it's weird. I think now, are we now live? Okay, now we're live. Issue is if you minimize a tab, you just go away. Hi to the YouTube as well. Hello? Yes, we should be live. There we go. Okay. It takes so much longer on YouTube. I don't know what it is. It just streaming on YouTube, not the greatest, but hopefully it works out. Again, yeah, I haven't done one of these last week because I was away at the Locarno Film Festival, and yeah, just got a bit too busy to like set everything up. But we're doing one today, and we have a whole bunch of stuff to take a look at. There's news around like just a whole bunch of like AI stuff with film that is worth checking out. There were so many trailers that I'm already gonna say that we'll see if I'll watch trailers. I'll probably watch just a select few because there's a ton of them. There's literally like dozens, multiple dozens, and yeah, just a bit unrealistic to watch them all. Although there's like, we're currently in a time of the year where there's the fall film festivals are on the horizon, so there's so much of that to be like excited about. Finally, like some stuff from the fall film festivals like last year start coming out a bit more, like early gun stuff that is confident enough to like have a like same year release comes out. And yeah, overall just a exciting time. I'll leave you with this real quick again, and then we can get into the all the news. There's so much of them. All right, okay. Let's get into it. Wait, where's my cam still? Okay, why is it not on this scene? Hold up. Oh wait, there we go. Just clicked the wrong button. All right, we're back. I'm figuring out the tech things. I'm so great with all of those. All of those things I'm a total master of. All right, let's kick it off. I think I'm gonna keep it neutral. I'm gonna do this without the music, but hopefully, yeah, shouldn't be too boring, I think. Anyways, we'll kick it off this week with looking at the news with a bit of a box office report, assembled together from the last 2 weeks, and there's mainly, you know, one big story that unfolded this week. But for this last week, at the helm of it all was the somewhat a bit like disappointing second week of Fantastic Four, which you can see dropped 66%, and overall grossed around 200 million now domestically. This is domestically for the opening weekend. The Bad Guys opened, the Naked Gun, both of them didn't break the second week for First Steps. They also had Together, that was out in over 2,000 theaters. I think this is always something that, like, I don't think that is something that a lot of people have on their radar. The amount of theaters that a movie is in, and the amount of showings that it can actually get, and the difference is when something is like actually a flop. When you look at like it had so many theaters it was out, in, and then it just like ended up didn't doing that much for the amount that it was screened. Overall, when you look at this like August, we are down from a year ago. I think 27% overall. And so far this first weekend, if you culminate all of this up for the US, it's 126 million that was grossed. And then if we look at this week, we have about, you know, a bigger gross for, obviously it's not like, you know, the first week of Fantastic Four, which definitely did like way more, but in the second week it is easily, or in the third week of Fantastic Four, obviously like way beating that out. But Weapons opens domestically, this is just the domestic numbers, with 43.5 million. That is, we'll take a look at it in a second, but that is one of the biggest openings for horror film of the year, and horror has just been very consistent, I think, overall, with Final Destination Bloodlines, and then I'm blanking on the other one that was really big, Sinners, of course. Yeah, and Freaky Friday also opened. Surprisingly, you'd assume that that the Disney movie would end up being the easy like #1 film of the week, but it got beat out by the Neon movie, by the Warner Brothers movie, that just had like a sort of marketing that people gravitate towards, that sort of horror film that drives people out in masses, even though, you know, the theaters number already was in less, but it ended up doing way more per theater, easily, like really high per theater number that like outgrosses everything else on the list. Really truly impressive. Also, welcome to Josh in chat. Yeah, I'm glad Together and Weapons are doing well. I think Together, yeah, in its second week here, had a 63% like loss of revenue, but that is sort of typical, especially for horror films. It's going to be very interesting to see how Weapons holds, and we'll also take a look at how that unfolds with like some of the stories that have been happening over on streaming, especially with a certain K-pop movie over on Netflix. But let's not get ahead of ourselves and take a look at Weapons first. In its first week, it made worldwide a gross of almost 72 million in its first couple of days. I think with a couple of like the early releases in some places, you know, these previous screenings, I think at this point they do get bundled together into this weekend. Sometimes not. I'm not the box office expert. I actually do have a graph later on of someone who I'm consistently watching, who does the best box office reporting in my opinion, especially on YouTube. But this was the third biggest opening for horror film of the year, and the 19th biggest ever, right? You can see it right here, 43.5 million. And as far as like per theater goes, it's very consistent. Obviously the outlier is It and It Chapter 2, who opened like, you know, 4,500 theaters, which is crazy, and it just did incredibly well. One of the the only horror film that only grossed that grossed over 100 million at the box office just in one weekend, which is pretty impressive, I gotta say. Opening more than Alien is insane. I mean, wait, Alien, the latest Alien Romulus, yeah. Obviously you gotta adjust that. 1 year of inflation at this point is probably about even, but no, yeah, it is definitely not like the type of movie that you'd expect. And you see these outliers that are not bound by any sort of franchise come out of horror, because that is a part of filmmaking, a part of creative writing that is still truly innovative, and people gravitate towards that. Like they want that sort of stuff still to happen. And yeah, I mean, the sort of stuff that is on here is interesting, like that, like how many of these like highest grossers for horror have been this year alone, or like last year. Final Destination Bloodlines opening higher than Sinners, and like that movie, get ahead of ourselves, it's one of the news items, but that being greenlit for the 7th installment, looking forward to that. But then you have the counter programming. You have the family film out this week, which ended up making worldwide as much as this did, like, you know, domestically, which is crazy. It's pretty crazy. And then in the second week, this is again from last week, Fantastic Four fell another 66%, and then another 60%. It is currently at $434 million. It will probably get another 62 million squeezed out of it because it's only in week 3. It will probably hold until like week 5 or 6 in the top 10. Speaking of those movies that are high up on the list, I think Sinners is holding one of the and Find the Sinister Bloodlines as well, like one of the like longest runs. I think about like 6 or 7 weeks consecutively that is spent in the top 10 in the US domestically. But yeah, this is definitely both of these Disney films did in a way underperform of maybe what the sort of expectations were for a franchise like this, and how important it is. That it is interesting to see like the big sharp like fall off that some of these superhero movies tend to have now, that they seemingly are way more front loaded. When you have in the second week a 66% fall off, Brave New World had a 68% fall off, Thunderbolts had 56, but it I think opened a bit lower. So the interest is still there for them, but mainly in like the preview screenings, people who are still into this franchise would just go to see stuff the first week, but there's no real buzz that is a bit more natural of people's actual interest to go see a film like this. Then again, in week 3 we looked at this. It's gonna get to 500 million, I assume, but yeah, honestly at the end of the day, who cares? It's one of the films that I think was a bit better received, and it was seen. I don't know if it like means much for the larger MCU going forward, or what the plan, like if that changes anything about their plans. I don't know. And then we have the box office for Superman in its 4th week, which crossed 500 million. Well, probably already last week, but it's also like, this is not like phenomenal, I'd say. Like it's okay, but it's like for what it is, I think they do consider it a success, but it's not like a movie that will cruise towards sort of like, a $1 billion gross. I don't think that's in the cards for this. And then that was last week. This week it fell to 42%, which is still like, it's holding decently, right? It's almost at 600 million, but again, I don't think it's getting to $1 billion. Might get to like around 700, but I don't think Man of Steel or any of the other ones got like higher. So this is definitely like success for Warner Brothers. I don't think they're sweating anything with the weapons release that they just had. And Universal also had a new movie out last week, which ended up grossing $4.5 million worldwide. I think they do kind of budget them moderately for what it is. It was made for about the same money. The first one cost 70 million, this one cost 80 million, and the total gross of the first one was 251 million. So they are like not as bloated in their budget as Pixar is. It's not like these are the most visually stunning films, but they're very effective in what they do, and I think this will definitely go down for them. Maybe not as a success like in cinemas, but definitely once it is on VOD, because these movies tend to hold quite well. As you can see in the second week, it only fell by a bit more than 50%. All right, then we have another big hit that I guess I didn't get to cover last week, which was the sort of continuation, remake, whatever, of the Naked Gun, which opened to almost $20.5 million, which is pretty high for a comedy type movie. This I think was the like highest, one of the highest grosses for a comedy in a while, and it was interesting to see like who went out to go see this. It was definitely like the largest demo with 27% were people that were like between 25 to 38, and another 20% that were like 18 to 25. So about like half of the people who went to see this film were like under 40, and the other half was like older than that as well. So it was kind of, yeah, I don't know if it was like a clear thing of this just hit with like a certain demographic. I think this movie was really funny, and I would be happy if it ends up like getting even more. Which quick shout out, I guess I did start a new podcast that I can't really fully pull up, but I did an episode on the Naked Gun and the original movie, and I also did an episode that just came out yesterday that was on all of the Freaky Friday movies that Disney has done, the one from like 1976, the one from 2003, and then this latest one. go check that out. The podcast is called Movies, Films, and Motion Pictures. It is currently in its third episode, about to be done on Nobody 2, which we'll get the box office report for that next week. But in its second week, again, it really held well. It almost is, at getting to 60 million. I think this movie is going to get like to 100 million, maybe a bit less, but that is still pretty exciting. And then the first and second week gross, because for Together is because it premiered a week earlier in wide release in the States, and I think it was before that a bit like out in limited release. And in the second week it fell 63%, which is very typical for the sort of horror film. It is basically close to like Midsommar when it was on the 5-day gross. So this is pretty good. And it made 18 million, and I think it was also partly because you could pair up Alison Brie and Dave Franco in interviews a lot, and you can see the sort of similar energy that they had as a couple on screen that you could see them have as a real couple, and I think that made it like pretty relatable to a lot of people to go see this film. And then over on streaming, Adam Sandler's Happy Gilmore debuted to 46.7 million views, the biggest Netflix US film opening ever, which is crazy. And then we also had a sort of the rise, the continued, not even, it was definitely like, a phenomenon, the way that K-pop Demon Hunters has just kind of held. And I think I just saw before I went live something about some of the songs being after a couple weeks of release on like the #1 Billboard charts, which is crazy. This one landed in that same week that Happy Gilmore came out. I think so. No, this was last week with 26.3 million views still, which is crazy. So if you look at like the numbers overall, you had that debut for Happy Gilmore and K-pop Demon Hunters already 6 weeks out, and in that week it did way more than anything else that was like out around that time. Crazy overall, right? And Happy Gilmore in the hours viewed there is obviously like ahead, but then if you take a look a week later in the first week of August, it still stays there, it literally holds the same amount of it's just crazy, right? And wait, I don't know if that makes sense. Because it's like the same views, but the watch time hours are like 100,000 less. Anyways, and then if you look at the all-time ranking, you can see that K-pop Demon Hunters actually like creeped up this list. I jumped a couple of slides. From you got Red Notice. Obviously you have the ones that were like released a bit more pre-pandemic where they didn't share their numbers, but Red Notice as like the highest one, and K-pop Demon Hunters nowhere to be seen, right? And then just like 1 or 2 weeks later, boom, it's at #4. It's all the way up here already with a total views of like 158 million. That's crazy. All time. It is growing. That chart is like Carry On. Obviously it was last year. That was a surprising huge hit. It's just a Sophia Carson thing where she's just like somewhat grabbing the attention of everyone. But yeah, it's gonna get up there, and it's probably not gonna surpass Red Notice, but it will most likely end up on a second spot, because it's literally still like making adding 26 million like per week, and that would put it past these. So crazy to see that. Like and there was an article, I think this is The Guardian, that was going over that a bit, and then I'm pulling from Dan Murrell, who I think is like the best sort of reporting on box office on YouTube. Always like a calm voice that presents everything well, has neat presentations, and basically outlined this, that like compared it also to other views, which I didn't include, but definitely go check out his video that I think came out yesterday. And the way that it kind of held and like grew and kind of steadily stayed right at the same number for week 7, which has been truly impressive. What's up, Kevin? Love to see you in chat. You missed all of the chat around the box office. All of the dough talk is out of the way, so we can have a look at like some first looks for some new projects. And I know all of you are very excited for Colin Hoover's latest film adaptation. We got the first look at Regretting You, which stars Allison Williams. We got Dave Franco, the aforementioned Together star, and then we got McKenna Grace. I don't know who's cut off here, but there's someone else on screen. And then it's this guy. I forget what his name is. Is that Mason Thames? Probably. We also have Willa Fitzgerald and Scott. This is Scott Eastwood. Do we have one of Willa Fitzgerald? There she is. That is Willa. And this one's out October 24. There's also a trailer for that. This looks awful. How dare you, Kevin? How can you not appreciate the sort of stuff that, you know, I instinctively wanted to call it smut, but I don't think it's smut. It's probably the sort of drama that is also gets some spicy stuff. I honestly haven't read any of Colin Hoover's stuff. I've only watched that like one movie that all of the drama came out of. I don't even remember what it was called, but yeah, that's that film. It comes from the director Josh Boone, who did The Fault in Our Stars. He also was the writer for The New Mutants. So you know, a bit of a spoiler for, I guess, the book and this movie is that, like, in a car crash, two of them die. I don't know who dies, so this is a bit of like an open-ended spoiler for you. And it like explores, I guess, that sort of trauma then, and I guess someone who has done The Fault in Our Stars would have experience in writing someone who's like, just like, you know, putting a cigarette in his mouth for the metaphor. Funny stuff. Anyways, we also got some new looks at the Shane Black's latest film called Play Dirty, which is a heist thriller starring Mark Wahlberg and Lakeith Stanfield. Collider had an exclusive view for that one. That one's out on Prime Video on October 1st. Then on Netflix in 2026 we get the second season of One Piece. There was also a bit of like a teaser and production thing and a confirmation that season 3 is happening. All of that was released over the last week, and honestly I think this first season was so much fun. It was like, yo, Josh over on Twitch, stay on here if you want to watch some trailers as well, because I will have to go offline for that over on the YouTube side, because they do not like that copyright stuff. But this was a ton of fun, and it was like, oh, I get the magic that maybe some people felt with the anime, which I haven't seen. So I'm putting it out into ether, and I think I've said this before, like a year ago when this came out. I'm sort of inclined to like stop watching this on the One Piece thing, which cuts out a lot of like the filler. It's still like a ton. There's like, you know, over like 1,000 episodes or something like that. But this had me intrigued. I think it looked really fun. And later on we'll have a look at like some of the first images that I think came out of this, other than this like first look. There was more people casted. I have no clue who they are, but honestly can't wait. This is quite exciting. The only problem that I see with this, because it's such a long story, I don't see how they can like tell the story without like fast tracking, making this the only thing they do for like the next like 10 years. But yeah. Then for Shelby Oaks, we got the first like posters, and there was also a trailer release. This one's out on October 3rd as well. I think there was like another thing that's out on, and this one's out on October 1st. But yeah, this film follows a woman whose search for her sister turns sinister after realizing the imaginary demon from their childhood may be real. So this is Chris Stuckman's directorial debut. Man, I cannot talk anymore as soon as I'm like have the name of another film critic on YouTube in my mouth, who's a legend, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing this film. I haven't watched the trailer yet, so that will be something that I will be doing later on. And Kevin lets us know in chat that you backed this film. Did you get any goodies for that? Actually, I'm actually quite curious. Like how much did you donate? And then also we got the first trailer for Noah Baumbach. There were a bunch of images that came out of this. It will premiere at the Venice Film Festival, where Kevin and I will be covering it. It's with George Clooney, Adam Sandler, and it follows a gigantic movie star in his 60s who faces down a personal reckoning from those around him. And this one's out on Netflix December 5th. But again, we'll have reviews for this film early September, so definitely subscribe if you aren't already to this channel. We'll bring you the first news for those films. Can't say the same about you know the Spider-Man thing, which had like a really short clip in there that we can have a quick look at. I don't know if it was much. It was just, oh my god, he's jumping. Jumpman! Is that Mario? Oh no, it's Spider-Man. Whoa.
You ready?
Wow, brand new day. And this one's currently shooting. Oh shit, I'm leaking. Oh my god, that's not what you're supposed to see. This is, oh my god, this is also unprofessional. Oh no, oh no, oh no, wait. I could just switch off of it. I think it's kind of funny how bad it is. But yeah, this is the latest, the fourth Spider-Man led by Tom Holland that's coming out. They did sort of a reveal for the new suit. They're currently shooting in Glasgow in Scotland. No blue mark on the presentation. I don't actually know what you mean. Spider-Man Blu-ray DVD poster and behind the scenes for $75 for Shelby Oaks. That's actually a good deal. There's a new thing released for Spider-Man. Yeah, if you leakage. Oh, I don't want to see Tom's leakage. he can keep those spider pods for himself. That web shooter that was uncalled for. But I know that there's like some set photos that were out, but some of the production details that wouldn't be, I think, considered huge spoilers. There would be more plot details. Is that Mark Ruffalo is returning as the Hulk. We also are getting John Bernthal as the Punisher, and there's a sort of story that involves him and Spider-Man that they might be tapping into, which takes from this comic book. There's also Michael Mando, who is returning as Scorpion. I don't have a picture of him in there, but he's was prominently featured in Better Call Saul. I think he was just like in a series that had phenomenal performances. He was one of the standouts. He's incredible. He just hasn't had like a lot of like great roles other than like that series. So hopefully this one pans out to open even more doors for him. Hey, someone needs to digitally adjust Holland's stick for months in post-production. I mean, I don't think it's like a cat situation where like they have the butthole cut, and this is just like the Tom Holland letting it hang. I don't know. I feel like I don't feel like this is appropriate to be discussing his. I don't think, like, you know, if it was a one-on-one, he would be standing in front of me. I don't think I would be discussing his junk on a live stream. So we're gonna move on from that. I hope the film doesn't juggle too much like Amazing Spider-Man 2. Yeah, I mean, that's always the sort of issue that could arise from this. I think it's a sort of team up film, but if you keep that like without having too many characters involved, then that kind of works out. From what I can see is like that this character is now without mentorship because he doesn't have the like Tony Stark in his life anymore. So someone who like hulks out but might be smart with Mark Ruffalo's Hulk, and then the Punisher as like these like idealistically on different spectrums, sort of a father figures for him, might be interesting. It's crazy, like they're shooting this film and they are gonna release this in like 8 months, or no, 10 months. I can actually do math semi well. But yeah, something that like Kevin has been waiting, like I think he's gonna leave after this, but Martin Scorsese, the first look of him in Julian Schnabel's In the Hand of Dante, which also stars Oscar Island, Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, Gerald Butler, Al Pacino, and John Malkovich, which is a fucking crazy cast. This movie also leaked earlier today, and it's going to premiere at the Venice Film Festival, but a screener like came out. And this is, yeah, I think I also I forgot to say something. Destin Daniel Cretton, who did the Shang-Chi movie, is doing the Spider-Man film. And yeah, for this, I don't think we have a release date yet. I don't know if the leak of the screener will influence anything, because sometimes that makes like a production house or studio panic and they start pulling the movie from festivals. So it could be that they don't get this anymore. Yeah, Dumbledore. I definitely had that first fight. I did not see Scorsese in there. I was like, who's that actor? I don't recognize him. But yeah, it's I don't know. This is like a weird collection of people in a cast that I don't know. we'll have to wait and see how this one turns out. Who got this from the pirated copy? Wait, they got, yeah, no, we didn't get the first look here. Wait, what did you say? I saw some people on Letterboxd say Dante was bad. I wouldn't be surprised. Obviously, actually, no comment on the speculation of if the pirated version is actually available online. It's out there. It's out there. I've checked it for research purposes. People ranking and reviewing about to be hit. Yeah, it's not a great look, you know, if we as an official outlet are going to Venice and we like, oh, we've got screeners for this, so we review it beforehand, because the screener that you get for a festival like this would give you still the embargo. Like I get stuff all the time for festivals, for like Gun, for sometimes for Venice we do. I just got like a bunch of stuff for Locarno, and they always say do not share your review before the first public screening time of a film. It's like that's sort of always the thing. So there's zero like legitimacy to people publishing it and then maybe, you know, trying to scare like, oh no, I actually got a legit screen. I was like, okay. Anyways, you're gonna wait for the official release. I comment that, Justin, because there are just Justin, what did I say? Justin. I was thinking about the Oscar expert and brother bro, Josh, because there's so many movies to still come out, so you know, why not? But speaking of another Venice film, Catherine Bigelow's latest film House of Dynamite will also premiere, and this one just didn't leak. It's about like an escalation of bombs being launched, missiles being launched, and the crisis that unfolds in the, I guess, control center. It's with Rebecca Ferguson, also Idris Elba, Greta Lee, and Anthony Ramos. I'm so keen for this. This is gonna be very exciting. Yeah, your new name is Justin now, Josh. I don't know why I have this. This was supposed to be early on when I was talking about Spider-Man, professional stuff, misnaming my chatters, and then also having slides in the wrong place. Someone who has all his stuff in order, maybe not on the priority of like getting to do anything else in Avatar, is James Cameron, because he's teasing that the world of Avatar is going to expand into animated anthology. He says they're still gathering stories. This was supposed to be, or will supposedly be, a backstory on the characters and the tangential stuff, I cannot say that word, that happened like off screen within the movies. So it's kind of a filling in. I honestly don't know if that's needed. So basically, like, you know, who first landed on Pandora, that sort of prequel thing, like the first expedition, that's sort of what they got going there. I can't wait for Avatar 7 when he is 112 years old. Yeah, it is kind of feeling that way, you know, that at one point he was saying that like after 3 he's done, and then 4 and 5 will be someone else, but I don't know if he's moved past that. He's not through all of the elements yet. So I don't know what's next. Is like maybe next is the ice biome or some desert stuff. So I don't know what he goes next. Obviously not with the elements, but they had wind, they had water, they had fire, and now they got earth, but also the sort of ground things with plants also already feels like earth. So I don't know if you got like underground avatars that are like, I don't know, they have like an ant structure, the way that they don't connect through their hair, but then maybe like ants, they have like these pheromones things that they, I don't know. I'm open for calls, James Cameron, if you need any ideas. Slowly morphing into The Last Airbender. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that like franchise is also spinning out into like a sequel show, into like a movie. Lots of stuff happening there. Then Celine's Song is apparently being eyed and actually already in development for a remake. A sequel. For the iconic rom-com from 1997 that starred Julia Roberts and Demore Mulrooney. My Best Friend's Wedding. I haven't seen this film. Honestly, I'm not the biggest Sandra Bullock fan, but she can win me over. She's got some good roles. I haven't just seen. I couldn't at the top of like mind say one right now, to be honest. But Yeah, Celine's song is promising. I don't think like she's locked into the New York setting. Maybe not writing her own material and adapting something will do her like good for the criticisms that maybe some people had with Materialists. But I'm keen to see like the next thing she writes, because like Josh says, the scripts that she writes are always quite fun. Then the second season of Presumed Innocent casts Jack Raynor to star opposite Rachel Brosnahan, and the initial first season was based on a best-selling novel from 1987, which also was adapted in 1980 in a movie of the same name with Harrison Ford. And season 2 is now based on Joe Murray's debut legal thriller Dissection of a Murder, which also is not out yet. It's coming out in 2026, so it's a sort of similar to like The Sunrise of the Reaping, which I think is a book that just came out recently, right? And people are like now catching up with it, and then they already cast and I think shooting that movie, and then next year that comes out. As I was like, already with the book, you already know that you're adapting something, which is an interesting way to like publish this sort of stuff. But yeah, I agree, great casting. I think Jack Raynor is someone who you probably don't know by name if you see him, but the type of roles he gets cast in, I think he perfectly fills. Yeah, you didn't finish season 1. I think season 1 was pretty good. It didn't leave a lasting impression though, that I would like urge you to go like finish it. And then this one's exciting. Eddie Murphy confirms that he's playing Inspector Clouseau in a new Pink Panther movie. This is one that like has it's a long ongoing franchise. Usually it is like, you know, it's spawned out of like a French, it's a French role in a way. I think Murphy said in an interview then when asked about it that he could be Haitian, but this is on the right there we got Peter Sellers, who first originated the role in the movie as Inspector Clouseau in 1963, filmed by Blake Edwards, and like that one was like an Italian US co-production. It's just, you know, it's like a spoof on the Agatha Christie and like Hercule Poirot type of inspector, and had like a bunch of sequels with Alan Arkin, Roger Moore, and most recently we got the one that starred Steve Martin as well, which I remember fondly. There was also like a TV show that I used to watch that I can kind of vaguely remember from my childhood, and like it had the Pink Panther literally there, and I just it had that intro which was like I couldn't even translate it into English because it was a German version of it that I saw, but it was like about time and who's like turning the time around and like is it really already that late. And it was like a song. I have fond memories of the Pink Panther, and it sort of to me crosses over with the type of humor that was coined by I was about to say Lethal Weapon, but The Naked Gun, and this one tapped into that energy, which I really appreciated. I wonder if it's going straight to Amazon Prime. A lot of these projects are definitely going straight to Amazon Prime. I don't know if I linked the actual story on here. I don't think I did in this case. In some of them I did do that. I don't think, yeah, no, in this case I did not do that, unfortunately. But I don't see anything about that. I have to look that up. But yeah, might be. A lot of stuff that like it looks promising is just getting dumped on Prime. And yeah, I don't know if it's actually always in the benefit, like to actually for in the best concern or whatever for the movie itself. I'll take a pause while you get to take a look at Brad Pitt as Cliff Booth. So the continuation of The Social Network will be done by Aaron Sorkin, doing the sequel to the Social Network 2.0. Oh, not OE. Oi, oi, oi. It's gonna be an Aussie Down Under reboot. No, but then the film that Tarantino did, that's what Fincher's doing. He's not doing the sequel to The Social Network, but he's doing a sort of sequel, spin-off, whatever, about Cliff Booth, and this one is coming soon to Netflix. I don't know how soon. I believe it is currently shooting. Yes, it's begun filming. This is literally what this post is about. I'm already losing it. But yeah, I'm interested in this because I think he had so much swagger as that character, and yeah, Fincher can definitely deliver something that we'll probably enjoy. Yeah. And then Big Time Rush. Reportedly, that's a blast of the past, right? For us like 90s, early 2000s kids. I honestly, I think, watched like a couple of episodes of this, but they are developing a reboot movie with Paramount Plus. That's the type of stuff that Paramount is doing, that they have their priorities straight with the merger inbound. I'm sure that this will survive this, but it's Big Time Rush. 15 years delayed. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Honestly, I couldn't find like a picture where like I think two of them are bald or something like that. Like it's weird to give like off that sort of energy. Like what's the movie going to be about? Because it's still like I don't know. Then I think this is also cool because I'm a huge fan of Steven Yeun. I think he also shares the sort of pronunciation of my first name as his last name. Appreciate that. But he will voice adult Prince Zuko in The Legend of Aang: The Last Airbender movie, and I think he's going to nail that. I think he's good as like an on-screen actor, but also as a voice cast, known I guess for his role as Invincible in Invincible. Then Jeremy Strong is circling the social network part 2, or as we like to call it here, part OI, for Aaron Sorkin, and he is supposedly maybe being cast in the role of Mark Zuckerberg. Obviously recasting Jesse Eisenberg there, who I think has no interest in reprising that role. We also got Mikey Madison and Jeremy Allen White as like basically two other people who are you know, kind of circle to be joining. Madison would be playing the woman on her right, which is Frances Haugen, the data engineer turned whistleblower who went to the Securities and Exchange Commission at the Wall Street Journal with information. And then Jeremy Allen White would play that Wall Street Journal tech reporter who leads the breaking of the Facebook files. I think all of these castings sound pretty exciting. Again, it's Aaron Sorkin, probably gonna have very, like, you know, dialogue, just dialogue. But hopefully, you know, that it was the same case with the original one, which he also wrote. But I hope his directing is also as strong as Finch's was in the first. Then The Holiday is getting a limited series based on Nancy Meyers' movie, and that's coming over from Netflix, from Apple. Sorry. Bit of a toss up here, but aren't they the same? And I think Nancy Meyers is seemingly not having any involvement in this. It's going to keep the same setup of, if you don't know this movie, basically it's a couple swap where like one of them lives, like one of them goes to, I think both of the women go to a different country and then fall in love with someone else there. Then July 9th 2027, mark it in your calendars because A Quiet Place Part 3 will be releasing, and John Krasinski is returning to write, direct, and produce, and this franchise already has grossed over $900 million worldwide. That is crazy for a horror franchise that has 3 movies to their name. Quite impressive, and I think they've all been like good to great. Then production has wrapped on Industry Season 4. I caught up on this earlier this year. I binged through all 3 seasons. I love the show. It's great how much like I hate certain characters and the way that like you sort of feel for them early on and then they just like continue to lose you. I think the show is like, it's so well written, it's so well acted. It's definitely one of the underwatched shows that is currently still on. I also started it Josh, like you say, and I watched like 2-3 episodes and then get back into it. I just needed to have the time to like binge through it all. It almost felt like a sort of addiction to it all, which also is like reflected in the type of show it is. So definitely can vouch for Industry before that like comes out, probably sometime next year, definitely before like the Emmys, I assume, probably around like April, May maybe. I will be first to report on if season 4 is as good as the first 3. Then Margot Robbie is eyed to star in Tim Burton's Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, with Lucky Chap in talks to produce. Yeah, that was news that broke last February, as it says in the text there, and it's a reimagining of the 1958 science fiction horror movie, which follows a wealthy heiress who grows into a giant after an alien encounter and exacts revenge on her cheating husband, which is just a nightmare Tim Burton version, I guess, of the opening of Barbie, where she's like, you know, really big with the apes, and then this is just I guess Tim Burton is cooking something up. I haven't seen that like old movie there, but I'm inclined to, I guess, go check it out, because it has me curious. I think Margot Robbie has been choosing her projects very carefully, the stuff that she's involved in, and like producing as well. So yeah. Then Pedro Pascal, not getting out of any projects anytime soon. He's literally in everything. He's circling. I'm just imagining him just like circling around certain like the orbits of Pedro Pascal. It's just like him in sort of a gravitational pull to like all of these projects, and he goes like in and out of them at all times. So that's why like he ends up being in so many different things. But he's circling Tony Gilroy's next film, Behemoth, with an exclamation mark, as the project lands at Searchlight. The plot details are very vague at this stage, but he's I guess Gilroy said in interviews that it is about a cellist. It's about all we know. Then Kevin Hart and John Cena set to star and produce The Leading Men, as Netflix lands action comedy pitch from John and Eric Hober. This one's in early development, and I think they talked about this being based on a comic book series that I don't think if they name it, if it's the Leading Men, the same thing. I'm not familiar with it, but action hero movie with John Cena and Kevin Hart, which probably goes into the same direction as the ones he did with Dwayne Johnson, where he's shorter and John Cena's bigger, and that's where the comedy comes from. It's comedy gold, man. It's comedy gold. Yo, what's up, Fresh? Vegas Fear tickets start at $200 US. Ready to gamble to 200. Yeah, we'll get into that. That's actually one of our main topics. I do have a couple of slides for that, but we are currently like a bit more than a third through of all of the slides. I do have a ton, but yeah, this is the news for yet another Netflix comedy project with some big names that probably cost a ton of money for the people involved, and it's probably going to be pretty unfunny, but still crack the top 10 somehow of the most watched shows. I don't know, it always feels that way. Then Kristen Wiig is to star opposite Jonah Hill in a Warner Bros. Comedy Cutoff, and that's supposed to come out on July 17th, 2026. That is the same weekend as The Odyssey comes out, so going to be a bit of a crowded weekend. And the film is supposedly about two rich siblings who are cut off from their parents. Yeah, Jonah Hill has been laying low a bit, I think, for a while. I think like after that movie where there was the weird kiss thing, it was just bad vibes, and I guess he also has been working, I think, as a producer a bit more, or maybe that's like where some like seemingly his interest has gone in. And I guess this is I think Kristen Wiig is also like pretty much up for anything. If it's like a semi-good comedy pitch, she will just bring her best, and I can actually really appreciate that. Yeah, and you people. Then Monica Barbaro, oh my god, what a beauty, and Callum Turner also, I'd say the same thing, set to star in One Night Only from Will Gluck. That is the director who did Anyone But You. This also has already a release date set for August 7th, 2026, and it's going to be probably another raunchy like I don't know, romantic comedy. I couldn't come up with words that weren't like very Gen Z coded or Gen Alpha coded, so I'm just going to not do that, and let's move on. Yeah. was about to say if Baby Monica Barbaro has better genes, but I think that's not a good joke. It's a really bad one, but I still said it. So let's just move on. Paramount regime's first deal after the merger has landed James Mangold and Timothy Chalamet, who are teaming up as another project for like High Side after they did the one on Bob Dylan, A Complete Unknown, and it's a sort of motocross heist movie. And a lot of people were like, a lot of studios were looking at this, but it ended up landing on Paramount. I think this was sort of a thing that when Paramount needed like a win early on, so I think like a couple hours after like the full merger went through, I think like 4 hours after, boom, they had that deal secured. And it's described as like Heat meets Hell on High Water, mixed with one of those Bruce Springsteen song about tragic brother relationship, where Chalamet will play a former MotoGP racer haunted by a career-ending crash and a family legacy of abandonment. He's running a garage and tending to his drug addict father when dad dies. He's drawn back into the world of high-speed risk and extreme danger when his estranged brother, already being pursued by the FBI, recruits him for a series of bank robberies on superbikes. Jesus. One crazy pitch. It sounds a bit like F1. I mean, it's always like the racer type movies is always like some sort of daredevil that's just like is held back from like racing, and then he loses something, so he has nothing to lose, and then he goes back onto the track. That's a sort of similar thing. I'm a huge Kristen Wiig fan. Seen almost everything she's made, but I've never seen her in a good movie. I know, right? I know she has great energy, but she's like, I don't know if she chooses like the best projects, but it seems like she's just like really fun to be around, so I don't know if she would even care. Like, anyways, Dave Bautista is closing a deal for Highlander and Roadhouse 2. He's going to star opposite Jake Gyllenhaal, who's coming back as the ex UFC fighter Dalton, and the script is going to be written by Will Beal, who did Bad Boys Ride or Die. And then there also Jad Stahelski is, I think this was like over 2 years in the making at this point, that they're remaking Highlander, which is from the 70s or 80s, a Scottish story. And yeah, apparently he's also in that. Henry Cavill will also be in that film. Then Topher Grace joins A24 picture, a A24 movie from director Chris Rock. Plot details are pretty vague at the moment. Yeah, we don't really know anything about this one yet. It's currently already in production. Oh wait, no, sorry, we do know something about that. My notes are once again wrong. It's already filming in Los Angeles, and the film follows Misty Green, a gifted actress with a derailed career, until someone from her past offers her a chance at a comeback. Character details for Topher Grace under wraps. That's what I meant to say. Yeah, Chris Rock directing. Didn't he do that like one Saw movie, like Spiral? So yeah. Wait, was he just acting? No, he didn't. He produced it, right? He didn't direct it. Anyways, I actually already saw this one. Heads or Tails stars John C. Reilly, and just got acquired. It's a western that premiered in Cannes that I just kind of assumed would never come out because it's like an Italian co-production. It is set, I think, mainly in, yeah, I think it's set in Italy, and like he's playing an American who like comes in, is very showboating, and there's like a sort of escalation of something where someone is immediately on the run because they like, I think it's in the plot synopsis as well, but she kills someone and then they're on the run, and he's one of the ones after them. I love the vibe of this. Not like the biggest Western fan, but I've grown to like them more in the last couple of years, and this one's a really good one. Honestly, very well shot, like Italian landscape, looks incredible. Then Jake Campion joins the Netflix comedy Don't Say Good Luck. Netflix declined to comment for Deadline on what this is about, but it lists a bunch of other castmates, including the daughter of Adam Sandler, Sonny Sandler, Stephanie Beatrice, Steve Buscemi, Melanie Leninsky, bunch of people. Then Eva Longoria joins Maya Rafikos in Amazon MGM's The Last Sunrise. This one's another one that's like based on a best-selling novel from the author who did the Afterbooks, which isn't that like, yeah, I'm sort of, I think she is very popular, but I think she chooses horrible projects as well, and she doesn't really have like that same gravitas as like as an actress on like the acting level, that I'm honestly not interested in anything she does. But isn't the After series Anna Todd, wasn't that like that fan fiction that was like Harry Styles one? Yeah, War of the Worlds, Eva Longoria. Yeah, I like the joke that I made. Ice Cube, you know, watching someone's fridge makes sense. He's literally called Ice Cube. He doesn't want to melt. Then project that kind of fell through. There was something in the works called Fast and Loose for Netflix with Will Smith and Michael Bay, and Michael Bay has left the project. It was supposed to be about a character who pieces together his past, who's been living two lives, one as a crime kingpin and the other as an undercover CIA agent. And Michael Bay wanted to emphasize more on the kingpin stuff, and Smith wanted to lean more into the like the undercover agent bit, and I guess they had creative differences. Then, oh my god, I guess we could have bundled this into the AI section, but I'll do it right now. This is just it's just pretty disgusting news. The Grok thing over, I don't know how much this ties into movie news, but it's adjacent because it is about like movies, like you know, celebrities. Well, I guess Taylor Swift has also been in a bunch of movies, but it like launched a new thing that made it possible, if you have like the Super Grok subscription for $30, that you can turn a short video into like different prompts. You can have custom, normal, fun, and spicy, and if you turn it up to spicy and have like a sort of video attached to it, it will like transform into something lewd. And it basically, you know, you could feed it like red carpet videos and then make it spicy, and then it would just like, you know, there was like Taylor Swift celebrating Coachella with the boys, and you can make that spicy. I don't know, just really disgusting stuff to like monetize this and put it out onto your website as if it's like something that is in any sort of way not the most repulsive thing you could possibly do. It is honestly so incredibly disgusting that it makes it like I can feel the barf coming up just thinking about it. It's yeah, it's horrible. And there was the other lawsuit that they had with Scarlett Johansson as well, involving her with OpenAI, with the ChatGPT thing, where they wanted to where they used her, even though they didn't get her consent, to use the voice that was used in Her as like the AI companion in that movie, which is so beyond me that they think that like that was actually a future that we are aspiring to get to. But AI has been growingly getting so more frustrating, as it's like just constantly in the news about whatever incremental new release that they come out with. ChatGPT 5.7654, honestly more different version than Minecraft has at this point, and I don't know, it's just infuriating. And yeah, I don't know, yeah, Elon's a gooner. I mean, yeah, no one with like over 10 kids from like 10 different wives cannot be called a gooner. Yeah, I don't know, just disgusting behavior. Let's move on to something a bit better, which is three lovely people: Dakota Fanning, Jake Johnson, and Corey Michael Smith are set to star in an Alaskan romantic drama from Joe Swanberg. This film is going to be filmed in various locations throughout Alaska, I think on location, but everything about the plot is still under wraps. But I'm looking forward to this. This seems like quite fun. Oh yeah, remind me, Josh, what has Joe Swanberg directed? Because I forgot, like, because there's so much news. This was one of the like latest things that I just added to the slides. Oh yeah, the social media hurt. Will Smith brand has kind of been hurt. Yeah, definitely. I think that's, and for some people, I don't know if they view him honestly. But the thing is, if you look at his filmography, Will Smith has chosen so many like horrible projects. Drinking Buddies and Easy. Oh, I haven't seen Drinking Buddies, but Easy was wait, has that director not done that much more then? It's interesting. Well, another film to keep on your radar, that's another one that I already got to see, was the Midnight Hit at Gun. This one's based on Exit 8, a sort of spotty like thing that's not supposed to be there type. I don't know what they're called. They're not, I was about to say procedurally generated, but that's not what it is. You have to basically go through the same room and spot the differences. And I've recently seen like a bunch of these games pop up. I think it's become, I don't know if the games were older, but I saw some streamer play it. Actually, that's not calling it once. Some streamer. It's Squeaks. Squeaks is amazing guy. Very funny. And yeah, this is a sort of game that I guess got a lot of like hype. I think 1 or 2 years ago. Neon acquired it, as they acquire everything good that comes out of Gun. And this one sets a release date early 2026. Keep it on your radar. This one's actually like quite fun, quite good, great atmosphere. Then, okay, Sean Levy is making a Star Wars movie, and apart from Ryan Gosling, we are also getting another cast member added alongside him, with Matt Smith, who is supposedly playing a villain role in that movie. That one already has a release date for an interesting different release dates. Like I think at one point they wanted to go to like the Star Wars twice a year, right? Or at least like every year. And I think they did have a summer release for like Andor. Sorry, not for Andor, for no, not for Lando. Fuck, what was it called? Harrison Ford. Why can I not think of it? What's his fucking name in the movie? But like for that movie, you know what I'm talking about. But this has a release date for May 28, which is pretty crazy. You could, there's an outside possibility, if they stick to that release date, that in 2027 this movie will be at the Croisette and Gun, which would be crazy. Solo, exactly. Such a stupid title, man. I was like, wait, Han, yeah, no, Han Solo. Worst director for hire. Yeah, definitely, like adds zero value to anything. Han Solo, yeah. Yeah, I mean, great actor. I think Matt Smith has been doing more of like these antagonistic roles, or that lean more towards that, with like House of the Dragon. I think it's also crazy that like it's taken so long for like a new season for that show to come out, but I guess they're taking their time. It's better than rushing it. Game of Thrones. Then they're supposedly working on a Spider-Punk animated feature spin-off from Daniel Kaluuya and Anjun Singh. That one's over in development, and the directors Amy Pascal and Christopher Miller and Phil Lord will, I guess I'm blocking it here, will be producing that after they're like, after working with them on these other projects. I don't know. I think like they set the release date for like the next Beyond the Spider-Verse movie in like 2027 or something. So I'd rather they just focus on one thing before they go over to the next. But he was a fan highlight of the second film. He was quite fun. And yeah, this is him. This is the both of them. I actually saw Daniel Kaluuya a couple of months ago at one of the screenings in Cannes, because he was there watching a whole bunch of movies. But yeah. Then Rambo has an origin movie. I almost read that like origin pick young Rambo, but it's just John Rambo. That is casting Noah Centineo, and basically it's doing the backstory of the Vietnam War. I can't say that. It's hard for a German speaker to say. Vietnam War. And is set to start shooting in Thailand early next year. And yeah, it's under wraps what it will specifically be about, but it definitely has that like Vietnam story backstory before like First Blood, right? So they must be focusing on that. Again, this is another one where it's like, that's like casting Pete Davidson as Judge Dredd. I mean, I think Noah Centineo has he has the build for it overall. But yeah, I think at one point didn't he have like one movie that was a bit more like a bit more elevated, and then that didn't really deliver. Again, I'm drawing a blank today of like movie references. Too much swelling up in my mind. He's athletic, but this is so weird. I mean, the whole thing is weird that they like feel like they need to do a prequel for literally every franchise, because we are so wrought of any sort of original story that this is ultimately commenting on the mental drain that it has to be a warrior that returns, and there's no safety net for you as a veteran to be like safeguarded and held into, and it will ultimately just be about him gunning down people and then being traumatized from that. Like, that's all this movie can be, because it's like, if it leads into the other, I don't know. Yeah, it's a Sisu guy though. Yes. So you do know that there's like going to be quite visceral action. If you haven't seen that film, it's a Finnish film, I believe, that is basically like one convoy that someone that like this sort of legend of this fighter who just takes out a whole bunch of Nazis, I believe. Isn't that movie also getting a sequel at one point? Then there's also a Space Invaders movie in the works, which is like, I'm wondering what that exactly will look like. I mean, other than just like, I don't know. After Pixels, I'm like traumatized. I don't know if anything good could come out of that. And then talked about that earlier. Sunrise of the Reaping has begun filming. If you look at the cast list, it is like stacked with Elle Fanning, Maya Hawke, McKenna Grace, Jesse Plemons, Glenn Close, Calvin Harrison Jr., Kieran Culkin, and Ralph Fiennes. Like, Jesus, that is a cast and a half. But yeah, I haven't read the book yet. Again, I think a lot of people are just getting through this, but it was like, I think I have to, I don't know where I have it, but I did read the original trilogy, because like it came out right around the time when that like teen novel was, I was the age to read that sort of stuff. So for me it was like, I don't know how it is for like people who are a bit younger than me getting into it, that got in through like the Songbirds and Snakes or whatever it's called. And this is definitely like more in line with that than the original, the Avengers for Librarians. Don't shit talk librarians like that, Josh. They got some great taste. I assume. I'm actually going to read this, or at least I probably listen to the audiobook. I don't know if I have the stomach to actually to like read this specifically. Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Yeah, that movie wasn't very good. I actually liked that, disliked that quite a bit. But yeah, that's I think it for the new projects. Then we do have well, no, there's another new project that I actually wanted to have a bit of like a brief thing, blank slate. Boom. Final Destination 7 is in the works, and the co-writer is returning. I'm a huge fan of the Final Destination franchise. Actually, looking back, can I quickly spot all of them? I can't actually, but just rest assured that in one place there's all of them there, because I'm actually still looking at, but I can't see it. It's actually a tragedy. But yeah, I have all of them. I'm a huge fan of the Final Destination franchise. Grew up with them, watching them at sleepovers. I've enjoyed the last one, Bloodlines. It wasn't incredible. I don't think it was the best in the franchise, but it was like understood what this franchise is supposed to be about. Tapping into the fears, using the filmmaking techniques of just extending the sort of dread and expectation and anticipation for something bad that's about to happen, and then subverting it. Perfect. So I just want more of that. You can take this franchise into like different realms. I'm looking forward to it. The second one is your favorite. Yeah, I think for a lot of people it's like the first, the second, or the third. For some, I think for me it was like at one point the third, because I think just the initial premise of the roller coaster is so good. But I know that like the actual fear of just arriving and then being behind like a truck that has like logs on it is just like so more palpable for people, that like the third one does go into the tropes of like you need to have like the obligatory like nude scene for some characters, just to ogle at them, There's a sort of escalation that, like in other places, for the finale I found really good. I liked a lot about that, but I think I probably like the third or the fifth the most. But one is also really solid, and two too. Only four is actually bad, but I love them. They're goofy, right? They're like, I at one point described them as like a guilty pleasure. I wouldn't do that again. It's not guilty. I feel no guilt whatsoever. This franchise is amazing, and if it goes up to like 15 or whatever, they need to reboot it in 10 years, and I am sort of in the position to, like, well, obviously fan fiction writing here. If I ever got to like make a movie in a franchise, this is a franchise I would want to make a movie for. Then this is also another funny story. The Department of Agriculture is using the audio of Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver fighting in Marriage Story to scare off wolves from killing cattle and scaring livestock on the farms. The quote says, "I need the wolves to respond and know that, hey, humans are bad." It's just a great I guess I got a snapshot of that scene, because they do play the scene out in this tweet from Discussing Film. But like, the scene was also meme to hell. I think some people who hadn't seen the film was like calling, "Oh, is this acting where you just being loud?" Not understanding the whole like build up in this whole film. That is honestly easily Noah Baumbach's greatest, and among, if there weren't like Portrait of a Lady on Fire, Uncut Gems, and Parasite also out in 2019, this movie would, in my opinion, be the best film of the year. It's just because there's 3 other amazing films that this one isn't like the great, like, to me, like the best film of the year. It's so funny that they're using the loud voice of Adam Driver as a deterrent for wolves, though. That's just kind of perfect. You can't make that shit up, but it does make a lot of sense. You want someone to be loud, and just the presence of a human will scare them off. Wonderful piece of journalism. Yeah, I love doing the Lord's work here, and just taking a screenshot of a popular tweet and then presenting it in a live stream. This is quoting the source of Wall Street Journal by linking to the X profile, which also is on the same platform that the sort of saucy, spicy grok AI of celebrities can be made. We are living in utopia. Anyways, moving on. Another film that I got to see at Gunn already is the Sean Baker edited and produced film with his longtime collaborator Shi Ching Zhe. I tried my best there, but I think I kind of failed. But the film is called Left-Handed Girl, and Netflix snatched it up. I think this is really good movie. I had a great time with it. It was one of the first films I got to see in Gunn. I was like sitting in the very back of like a smallerish theater, like to the very end, and like a ton of people in front of me. I could not be more locked into this film. It really hooked me. Ended up giving it like a 4 out of 5. Really solid for the amount of stuff that I've seen in Gunn. I think it was definitely in like my top 10 of like over 70 films screened there. Then let's have a look at the films that were already announced at the New York Film Festival. There's a bit of like a general overview that we got here. The main films that have already been, I think, pretty much fully announced were a lot of the films that have premiered at other festivals, and the New York Film Festival is in very many cases just also an extended festival where there's not that many screenings. It's not that dense, so it's like definitely not great for people who don't live in the New York area to attend this, unless you are also just like, staying somewhere in New York for a while, because it goes on a bit more than 2 weeks, which is a bit longer. And I think with the press screenings that happen a bit earlier before the festival, this is really like a really drawn out festival. But the main slate has like a ton of films that have then premiered already at other festivals. And if we have a look at the main slate here, which I can zoom into a bit, After the Hunt, the latest from Luca Guadagnino, will play at the festival. That one opens in Venice. Same goes for the latest from Jim Jarmusch, Father, Mother, Sister, Brother. Is This Thing On is one of the films that actually does have the premiere at the New York Film Festival, and it will be the closing film. So far from the main slate, there have been 34 films that were announced so far, but this is the closing night film. On October 10th is when that will be out. Then we also have Something that I'm not familiar with, Below the Clouds, Black News. This was one that when we did our reporting, Connor, this was his favorite film, even over Sorry Baby. This is a documentary. And yeah, that he can very much recommend. Cover Up, this will also play out of competition in Venice. It's from the All the Beauty and the Bloodshed director Lara Poitras. The Currents, I'm actually not familiar with this played before. Dues is another one that will be playing at Venice. I think it's one of the Italian films there. Claire Denis' latest film, Defense, will be playing there. I'm not familiar with that director. Catherine Bigelow, and at the Venice premiere that New York is getting, I Only Rest in the Storm, is like a 4-hour-long movie that I end up watching as a screener at the very end of the festival. Actually, I didn't finish it. Come clean, I did not finish this film. I think I watched like an hour of it, but I've heard if you stick through it, there's a point to it all. But yeah, I don't know if it was for me. But this one also already played in Cannes. This one already played at Sundance with Rose Byrne here. No, actually. Yeah, I thought it was at Sundance, but I guess it was also at the Berlinale. That was where she won the Silver Bear for her performance in this. The Palme d'Or winner, It Was Just a Simple Accident, from Iranian director Jafar Panahi, releases the festival as well. Then another film that we'll be covering from Venice with Jay Kelly, the latest from Noah Baumbach, who I just praised about his wolf scaring movie Marriage Story. Then Jada Root, I think, doesn't he have like 2 movies out? Doesn't he have also like a Frankenstein movie that is currently shooting? Not with Oscar Isaac, but some actor is like playing a Frankenstein version. I think Oscar Isaac isn't the one from... I know, I'm just saying, I'm gonna say wrong things, I'm just not gonna do it. But he has a new film called Continental 25 that I think is currently playing, if I'm not mistaken, at the Locarno Film Festival. Then Late Fame, the latest from Ken Jones, who this also premieres at Venice. The last one for The Road, actually can't place that right now. The Love That Remains is from the Icelandic director who did Godland, a movie I haven't seen yet, but I can vouch for this one. It sets a crazy atmosphere. I really like this. One of my favorites coming out of Cannes. I missed Magellan. I love Dia's film that I think was shot like pretty vertically. This was another like midnight screening that I didn't attend in Gun, but I've heard some okayish things about it. The Mastermind was delightful if you like the really understated sort of heist movie that then is not about the heist at all, but like all of the failures of just feeling like you can actually accomplish something when it is all in a very selfish way about your own ambitions and lying to yourself and lying to your family. And yeah, a lot of really understated themes that I think were wonderful in the Mastermind. I really like that. I didn't catch the latest from Petzold, Mira number 3. No Other Choice, this is my most anticipated film coming out of Venice. Then Landmarks, I've heard about this as well, but yeah, I haven't seen this one. This was another film that premiered at Sundance. As you can see, there's an underlying thing of a lot of it being like rescreenings from other festivals that now have the US premiere to hopefully get some traction for I guess an actual like pickup or release date set shortly after this. Yeah, not that all of these are aiming to be like, you know, awards players, but yeah. A Resurrection, also a crazy film that I think not everyone's going to like. A lot of people are not going to even have any sort of interest just getting through like a silent film portion of this film, and then it just becomes this like legit dreamscape type film. I really loved this one, but wasn't familiar with the director, and I really liked where it took me. Romeria was okay, from Carla Simon. A bit forgettable. She had a success with Alcaraz, which might have won something at Berlin when it premiered there, but yeah, this was a bit forgettable. This also plays at Venice in the Spotlight section. Then The Secret Agent, very much praised for, what did it get? Didn't it get like lead performance and also screenplay? No, director and best actor in Gun. Yeah, it's the latest film that Brazilians will go crazy over. I think it is like way more in the atmosphere and less direct than I'm Still Here was, but it's definitely like about a similar time in Brazil. Sentimental Value is definitely like the movie of the year to talk about. I also just rewatched it earlier this week, and it was incredible. I still liked it even more. Yeah, I gave it a 4.5. I didn't give it 5 stars, so still I'm not really there. I think there's like certain bits that, and no spoilers, but the way that it transitions from scenes, it's like always fades to a black to go back and forth, and I find that a bit like it's not, I don't think it's a perfect movie, but it's very good. Sirat, I just got a screener for that one as well. I'm going to be rewatching it. I liked it coming out of Gun, but I think I missed some of it. I wasn't in the right headspace, so I think this one is another one to definitely keep on your radar. This one won the joint jury prize. The Sound of Falling, another gun film that was quite intense. Two prosecutors, I found this to be quite boring. What Does Nature Say to You? Not familiar with that. And then the spotlight film that we got so far is Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, because we can't just have it be Deliver Me From Nowhere. No one would know what the movie would be about, right? But yeah, we get, I guess we do need that like one big spotlight, literally spotlight movie that is about an artist, like musical biopic, I guess. And then currents are like basically you know, showcase of adventurous new voices and inventive artists, and I honestly didn't have a closer look at this here, but you got a film from Stills, from Chiam. Well, I'm not saying I'm horrible with names, but there's a second film from Radha Jude called Dracula. Wait, does it say? It doesn't say the actors, but this guy just likes to make long movies. I haven't really warmed up to this Romanian filmmaker a lot, but yeah. Drunken Noodles, I think this also plays at another festival, I forget where. And the rest doesn't stick out to me. That's one of the, you know, one of the more like, you know, niche, one of the more niche sections. I do have a screener for this one out of Locarno because it's playing there. So but yeah, be on the lookout of what we'll be covering out of Venice. A lot of this stuff might be a bit more accessible if you can make the trip to the you know, the New York Film Festival, you know, but yeah, lots of stuff to be excited about, and hopefully with the launch there, they will arrive to some sort of release sooner than later. But yeah, the other thing I already talked about, the closing film and the spotlight film being Deliver Me From Nowhere, and the currents we also went over. But yeah, then we got some, I think, a couple of heavy items that I bundled together. And quite outrageous, and I was thinking about like, should I include this as part of the news coverage, and it was like, for film news, and I was like, no, fuck yeah, it needs to be a part of it. And that is that I think a week and a half ago, or maybe 2 weeks ago at this point, a collaborator who was a part of No Other Land was shot dead by an Israeli settler in the West Bank. There's like footage of it, of him firing the Ghana people. It's I don't recommend yeah, seeing it, but I feel like at least for me personally, it is constantly in my feed, in my news feed. It is every time I open social media, I'm just bombarded with the plethora, the unending set of images and videos of truly the most like harrowing thing that has happened on the world in the world in a long time, and it is honestly a horrible, just every day to like wake up to that reality, and it being so present and ever clear of all the like wrong things happening in the world. But yeah, you can see him at the wheel there. That's Ode Hafalin, and Yeah, the media reported that Levy was arrested, the guy who shot him, and then he was shortly released afterwards on basically house arrest. I don't need to tell you more about this horrible murder that killed him, but yeah, this is not where it ends, because yesterday five Al Jazeera journalists were killed in a targeted strike in Gaza. They were reporting from northern Gaza for a long time now. He was like one of the most prominent ones with Anas al-Sharif, and yeah, they just admitted that it was like a deliberate attack on journalism. Yeah, strike on a tent outside Al-Shifa, and it got me thinking, like, what can I provide other than just like giving you this information in the wake of like what you can take away from this. Like, how do we normalize what's going on, you know, by just the sheer amount of it hitting us, that we at one point can't be thinking about it, and it outrage us every time, like the same, because the way that it just like keeps happening normalizes it by the merit of it just happening again and again, and you're so powerless to do anything about it. It's just it's yeah, very much heavy on the mental, which, you know, you're not even bearing sort of ounce of any of the pain that like people are actually going through, and it's really depressing. And I found this report that was going over the very troubling nature of how many journalists have been killed since October 7th in 2023 in Israel and Palestine, and yeah, I think it's pretty telling for itself that like these are very targeted attempts to like silence any sort of information coming out of it. And I think this like it is like I saw something that was like from some sort of report that he did, where there was a video of him just like basically breaking down and being overwhelmed with like reporting and losing faith in doing that, or just being really down it. And someone said something like, "You can't give up, you are our voice." Yeah, a lot of stuff that just kind of quietly breaks you. And yeah, I urge you to go look up his final words that he prepared and that were released in a Twitter post afterwards. They're honestly incredibly well written and quite heartbreaking. It's a longer text, but yeah, I feel like that's yeah, definitely worth a read. I can't really transition out of this heavy stuff that I, you know, deliberately included, so it was my bad to like bring down the energy. But there was also a bit of controversy around Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. He was accused of fueling brutal repression by filming in occupied Western Sahara. And basically the conclusion to all of this is that The Odyssey is now wrapped. The film comes out July 17th. I believe at this stage they didn't really respond to any of this, but they are basically filming in this area that has been occupied, been under Morocco occupies this under a sort of iron fist in a way, that like it's non-governing territory since the 60s. And they were arguing from a film festival that was local to the Western Sahara region that they were kind of legitimizing that by yeah, just basically yeah, filming there and nothing else, that they should not be filming there. But yeah, that's a bit of a story that nothing really came out of that much. Another thing that was maybe a bit on a lighter note was that Taron Egerton says he's too messy to play James Bond, ruling himself out. It's not like that he was approached, he says, but he's just like not someone who feels like he'd be a great fit, and they should go with someone younger. as far as I'm aware, nobody's asking me to do it. And he says, like, that type of stuff will consume your life. It's not really the type of role that probably he wants to do, which is actually so fair, because you already know, like, the intensity that it would be for the next like 10 to 15 years to play Bond. But yeah, then what Variety included here last month, Jacob Elordi, Tom Holland, and Harris Dickinson were among the names that were on Amazon's wish list. I think, like, I don't think Jacob Elordi works. I don't think Tom Holland at all. Harris Dickinson, actually not a bad choice. I still think that Aaron Pierre would be the best choice. He would be, like, someone who you might not see that is actually in the running. But I think he's just kind of, perfectly encapsulate the sort of gentleman like manner that would be amazing for a different take on James Bond. And just listen to him speak and you'll be actually won over by his charming somber voice. And then just like that, Sex and the City is concluding after that, like, sequel spin-off thing. Continued on with 3 seasons. The expanded 12 episode third season will end with a 2-part finale. Jafar Panahi raises alarm for fellow Iranian director Ali Ahmadzai following a raid on his home. And there's a bunch of details that came out, basically, where, like, they literally, like, took everything. That even took, like, the Golden Leopard one in 2023 for his film Critical Zone, and they took, like, his ID, his passport, his everything that he recorded. They were shooting a film, and he said that my whole life they took, basically, and that this is a big attack on Iranian independent cinema. And I think, well, and then I guess Jafar Panahi also had something to say about that if we remain silent today, tomorrow it will be the turn of every Iranian filmmaker, even those who make movies with licenses, to basically get get rated and get censored in that way. And speaking of the Locarno Film Festival, which is currently still going on, we are not covering it, at least, like, maybe a few select titles. There was also Mohamed Rasuluf, who won the like special prize at, like, last year's Cannes Film Festival, and then had a screening of his film on the Piazza Grande. And he was basically saying that he's more in a place where, like, he's not thinking about, like, his next movie that he's filming, but he might be able to return sooner than expected back to Iran. And, like, he has been living in exile. He was facing an 8-year long prison sentence for the movie he was shooting. Came out of it, got to publish it, is now living in Berlin and considering going back. To me, it read a bit as, like, potentially, going back in on semi-okay-ish terms, because he wants to make a movie, but he's actively saying he's not making a movie. But I never know, because, like, the information that people could have just inside Iran having a look at this, I don't know how much you would be openly saying that, you want to continue to make movies on Iran if you need to be inside Iran to shoot it. But yeah. Then another very controversial movie that we covered coming out of Venice, that faced a lot of backlash in the, like, sort of thing of critics coming, like, people being outraged when it premiered at TIFF. It wasn't controversial in Venice. I did hear during a screening a couple of remarks where people were saying like, we're trashing the movie a bit. No, actually, it wasn't in that screening specifically, but it was also someone who hadn't seen the film who was then complaining about it being there. And the director has now, like, for the first time, kind of spoken about it a bit more, because they are currently, like, self-launching it in a direct-to-audience release. She's comparing it a bit to, like, the way that they did it with No Other Land, which I wouldn't really put on the same pedestal as this, because, like, there are different implications for, like, why something has to be, like, seen as a documentary film for both of these films. It's very different. But this is definitely, you know, not like she said, like people wouldn't be as outraged if they just had seen the movie, and I definitely agree with that. Like the film doesn't make a plea for like, oh, these poor Russians who go to war unprovoked, but it's taking an observation of like how they become like a cog in a war and the daily lives of like, it's just, I don't know, it's just a portrait of war that really doesn't matter on what front you're fighting, because ultimately, like, good or evil, there are people there that don't really have the sort of like very dark intentions of just murder on their mind, and they're motivated and thrilled by it. But it's also like looking at the economic, like there's a ton in there. I don't need to sell this movie too much. If you are outraged by its existence, I think I won't change your mind. But yeah, this one's pretty good. Then oh my god, the biggest news of last week, we got in a stylish appearance,
Do a little hip shake.
Guys.
I think there's no words needed. You just this on loop all day at my house, okay? He also has like, I think 3 movies at Venice this year, so if I don't run into this man, I will jump into the the canals. But yeah, slaying. Nothing more to say about that. Then Colin Farrell will receive the Golden Icon Award at the Zurich Film Festival. Now, I've been going to this film festival for, I guess, ever since I started to study film, and since then it's been really interesting to see it grow into more of like a place where you know, these stars come to get their awards, but also it being sort of one of the alternative stop for a second round for like films that premiered at Sundance or at Venice, or even some films that would be on the calendar for like the fall festival releases that you know, instead of going to a Venice or a TIFF, it like shortly after ends up premiering here again for the European premiere for some stuff that like played at TIFF sometimes, or things that would have played in at the BFI festival, which happens like a bit of an overlap with this festival. What I'm trying to say is like, it honestly is a great collection of getting the best films of the year basically all delivered to you. And it, because I already go to festivals, it often is for me the best time to do interviews, and I'm very much looking forward to it. They just redid the festival center last year, and yeah, can't wait for it. This one, Colin Farrell will be there for Edward Berger's latest film, which is called The Ballad of a Small Player, after Conclave and All Quiet on the Western Front. He is having a bit of a run, basically producing movies pretty steadily and people being excited for them. But yeah. Then there's also a project that I find quite endearing with Martin Scorsese and his daughter Francesca, who are curating a year-round film series at the Southampton Playhouse, and the lineup is supposed to reflect the iconic director's life, long dedication to cinema, and a personal role it has played in his own family. And they go on to talk about like that ever since they remember, they've always watched so many movies together, and it's very endearing, it's very charming. And they're starting off the opening week with A Dog's Life, Red Balloon, Thief of Baghdad, Bicycle Thieves, Playtime, The Wizard of Oz in IMAX 3D, and they're playing it at this like the Playhouse is like a non-profit cinema in Southampton, New York, and it basically has like cinema and live events. It has like 4 auditoriums. One is IMAX, one 35mm, and basically has a whole bunch of stuff going there, like a mix of like studio, indie, and just like other stuff. I think it's just a cool thing that like he's actively involved in like the movie going experience like this. Actually, yeah, quite commendable. Then Crunchyroll is partnered with Delta Airlines to allow passengers to watch anime during flights on CPAC screens. We always see all of the weeps now fly Delta. I think Delta is Delta only stateswide, or is it like international flights as well? Because I don't know how that works in the States, but it will include 50,000 plus episodes and films, which is just crazy. So we'll just get people flying all the time just to watch Crunchyroll, I guess. But no, interesting inclusion. I think the on-flight thing is always something where I don't fly that much, like long distance as well. But they often have like movies right before they have them pretty early. That's what I'm trying to say. Then this was surprising. Park Chan-wook and Don McKellar were expelled from the Writers Guild of America for breaking strike rules for the Sympathizer. There's not much more to it. They I guess broke it in 2023 for writing that series while the strike was on, and not a band. Yeah, not sure what to think about it too much. I think it's a bit odd because it's like a South Korean filmmaker who makes a show that is partly, you know, an American production, and I guess he is part of the Writers Guild. I just assumed that like people who actually continue to write during the strike were just not part of the guild because they were like international people. And I guess they took his license, they kicked him out. Then in 2026, Hulu will be fully integrated into Disney Plus. I can't wait from 2 years from now, much like Warner Bros. And Discovery and HBO Max and just Max now, and back to actually HBO now. We'll be back to splitting it up. We never know what will happen. And there's some curious choices that Disney is making with the license that they have with Hamilton, which you know, had that huge release over on Disney Plus a couple of years back, right around was that in 2020? But yeah, now 5 years later, they're bringing Hamilton, I believe the same version, apart from a couple of like interviews or something like that they attached to the screening. I don't know what they're doing here. And they're bringing it on a big screen, I guess. That is what is happening, seemingly. All right. Okay, so that is it, all of it for basically the whole bunch of like news items. Now I kind of want to discuss the state that we currently are in with AI and film, and the sort of grasp that AI seemingly wants to have on creativity. It's a sort of open-ended discussion topic that I think I'll just like go through a couple of examples that recently have caught my eye, where AI was somewhat adjacently involved with filmmaking. First of all, like Disney planned to use an AI deepfake technology to put Dwayne Johnson's face on a body double during live action Moana remake. They approved it, but it never went ahead due to data and copyright concerns. There's a longer article and Wall Street Journal about this. It's quite interesting, but it's just, to me, a lot of these like face replacements things, we've done them before, so I guess automating them in a way with AI, I don't really see the issue with something like this, because it is that is just like simplifying a sort of process of not fully replacing someone, but it is like obviously replacing the face of someone who's doing the stunt, but that's always something that we've done with filmmaking. So it's not like switching the process up just because you want to save on money, you want to take shortcuts that ultimately make the product lesser, but it's a sort of thing that the face replacement, you still do that stuff, but you do it like, you know, more manually than it would be to deep fake it. But yeah, I don't really see a huge issue with something like that. Ironically enough, it is something that, you know, Disney doing something with AI is not the same as them being concerned about their copyright, and often it comes back to them just wanting to have full control over lobbying the copyright of their own icons into eternity. Whenever there's like a sort of fair use, like the copyright would be in going into what is it called, open, when like public public licensing or whatever, whenever it would be like, you know, applicable for just like public domain, whenever like it would go into public domain, they lobby to extend it. And yeah, I wasn't gonna pay for this article. This is by the also Wall Street Journal, but I got the one article. I couldn't read the second one. They do have interesting articles. I just didn't end up reading this one fully. But I think just knowing that Disney and other production houses definitely have like a sort of interest to look closely at their own copyrighted material, while in the same way, similar to like how the other AI companies don't want to, you know, be leapfrogged by the other, they want to be on the ball if there's sort of an advancement that could give them like a lead on the others. But first of all, they are concerned with their own copyright. So if you've noticed and you stayed all the way through the credits in the recent couple of Universal movies, you might have seen that at the end of it, it now says may not used by AI. It says unauthorized duplication, distribution, or exhibition may result in civil liability and criminal prosecution. And it says that this motion picture is protected under the laws of the United States and other countries. And this sort of duplication is meant to be used for, like, you know, this sort of AI training that you could do to inform about it. And like, especially for Universal, who has the Shrek franchise, that was like that like 1 or 2 years ago when we got that Mid-Journey image that seemingly was, you know, pretty much a spitting ogre image of Shrek, and definitely was informed and trained on that sort of data. And they want to circumvent that going forward with anything else that releases. And I think that is also definitely with Shrek 5 set to release, I think, next year. Something that is going to be like very meme heavy, and those would, you know, the AI is going to come up when that movie comes out again. I can already we can already be sure of that. But it also had it for Jurassic World and the bad guys. All of their franchises are now like sort of under this you know, sort of protection. And I think this kind of makes sense. It just basically makes it harder for them to be exploited and used in a data bank. I mean, it's different when there's a sort of monopoly where you're all under the thumb of the public domain that you upload stuff to, like YouTube, which has this exorbitant amount of like video data that they can use to inform their like speech programs, their video stuff. Like, so much of their like AI training can be informed on people who just are basically consenting by just uploading stuff online. But a studio has a bit more power to have a bit more control over that. Technically, I don't know, it depends on like what the first lawsuit where this will be broken, you know, how that plays out, because often like the litigation that comes out of the result out of those lawsuits are the ones that then are the reference point for future ones. So that's going to be very telling. Yeah, you thought the Rock did a good job in it. Yeah, I think he does do a great job in it. Yeah, I mean, it's a voice role. It's definitely going to be different when it is the live action adaptation of it, where they were doing those face replacements for that. But I think that movie is already done shooting. I think that's like coming out next year, right? At one point they were having like Moana 2, the animated film, and the live action one released this year, but yeah, the other one got pushed back. And there was also something a bit more when a guy who's like involved in like Fable Studios is what it's called, a studio that is announced an undisclosed investment by Amazon in Showrunner, a platform dedicated to AI content that allows users to create episodes with a prompt of just a couple of words. It has big ambitions, targeting a 2026 theatrical release for its first AI-generated movie, while in talks with major studios, including Disney, for licensing deals that would allow users to create their own fan fiction-esque universes. I get this if AI and we were on the grid where like the concern of the sort of drain it has on like the environmental impact of it all, if that were not a concern at all, then maybe we could like be a bit more lenient towards these notions of everyone needs the hyper individualistic fan fiction that is not IP protected anymore, and we are just, but because everything's so commercialized, even down to the individual who would make something out of this, that it's just like we are not living in a world where like this makes any sense for the studios. We by force, they might be forced into it, but this sounds to me like pretty bad. Let people draw fan fiction still. Let them have a bit of skill other than just like, you know, basic writing comprehension, and I don't know. It's disturbing to live in a world where you get someone's like crazy fan fiction and it's like littered with typos. But yeah, and it also goes on to say Hollywood streaming services are about to become two-way entertainment. Audiences watching a season of a show, loving it will now be able to make new episodes with a few words and become characters with a photo. Our relationship to entertainment will totally be different in the next 5 years. We can do so much more. He yaps about the potential. It's like AI make the number go up for any sort of company, because that future investment, and then achieving the sort of total notion of, oh my god, it's hyper intelligent, or I don't. This is not something that I see happening in a way that streamers, why would, like, just because it is so costly to run on these services, that, like, you know, even though people pay crazy amounts to use the higher, like, more intense versions of ChatGPT, they're still not making a profit on any of that, and everyone, the only real company that benefits from it is Nvidia. Just keep on selling these GPUs to everyone, especially, you know, I was about to say Mark Wahlberg, but it's I was also not Jesse Eisenberg, but the character he plays with Mark Zuckerberg. The wrong Berg I was talking about. And yeah, it feels like they are racing towards something that I don't know why you want this so bad. Obviously, it's like, I guess it's at this point inevitable that they're working towards something, but I just don't think it should be tied so much into the creative expression. Other automations, great, work on that, but keep it out of my movies, please. Man, and the most in your face way of like recent use of AI for like commercial product is this. Whatever this fucking abomination is, the Wizard of Oz at the Sphere. The movie that came out in 1939, premiered to like some sort of mediocre success, garnered notoriety once it was available on TV, as that came up more in the 50s and became a incredibly popular film that a lot of people like watched again and again and again, like a favorite for a lot of people. And now they're recreating it in a big ball and extending the frame with AI. I also saw a friend of the show, Scraxper, made a joke about this, which I found very funny. When I first saw it, it actually like made me chuckle more than I'm happy to admit. Oppenheimer at the Sphere, and it's like, you know, obviously undercutting the framing, the filmmaking aspects for extending the frame, because right, the way that we need more explosions, more action, more depth, more whatever, bigger budget, we gotta fly to the moon, we also need that just simply for cinematography, just expanding the frame, making the experience wider and more encapsulating, right? That is what we want out of movies, not to take us in a place and guide our view, but to ooze and look around the big ball that is all just a sphere. That, like, what, why? I get the atmosphere, like, I get the atmosphere you want to create to be like completely immersed into a film, but I don't think that this is it. Like, this is definitely like a novelty thing, and there was something on, I believe, CBS that was looking at this. They were talking about it for a bit, and then once they start the interview about the Sphere, we'll have a look at this. I don't know if they copyright strike it, but we'll just have a look.
Orb-shaped venue just off the Strip.
How many people you got more or less working on this?
Oh,
probably 2,000.
Yeah.
2,000 people, crazy.
Afterwards.
Jim Dolan, best known as the owner of the New York Knicks and Rangers, is Sphere's creator and its CEO.
You've never seen Judy Garland like this before. No. Right? You've never seen Ray Bolger dance like.
Because you're just so much further away, because it was initially a two-shot scene, and now it's like everything is a wide. Everything is a wide, man.
And the connection between the audience and the performance, right, is what I'm really looking for.
Does it hurt you? Oh, no, I just keep picking it up and putting it back in again.
Our standard on this was not to modify the film at all, but to try
Okay, so he says that, not to modify. Just watch what they do later on.
You into the film as if you were in the studio when it was shot. That's kind of what you're going to see.
When Dolan and his collaborator,
marketing what's here
Jane Rosenthal,
doesn't
decided to
feel
bring
like
a
what it is.
classic film to Sphere, they agreed on, according to the Library of Congress, the most watched movie of all time.
Everybody loves it, no matter how old you are, and or how young it makes you feel. And it was also a movie that pushed itself in terms of its technology and its vision of what it could do for the industry.
Fair, pushing your actors to the limit.
The obstacle
Sure.
for us wasn't that we were going to take something that we loved, that was a classic, legendary film that we both love. It was, how are you going to put it on a screen this wide? And like, how are you going to do that when you have...
Why? The question should be, in the first place, why do you want to put it in the sphere, man?
a small, traditional frame.
Bro, it's not a small frame. It can literally be like Scorsese is programming it in that Southampton theater, an IMAX screen that is big. Not all IMAX screens are truly big, but you can have it be bigger, extending the frame in that way of what was shot. You can have it all. You don't need to extend the frame.
It was in a box.
Right. And it was also a box office.
Is this some sort of like stupid shit that they did with like it wasn't called Tubi. What was the fucking thing called when everything was like made for phone? That sort of brief period where they invested into that and that was a complete flop. Like, movies are not going to be spherical, it's like 2,000 people working on the experience of this. It is not like a different experience that should be. I know they want to don't they want to do like a sphere in London, or is that already built? Like, they want to expand this shit more. It's like, dude, it's a fucking advertising ball. It's so dystopian.
Failure when released in 1939. In 1956, its fortunes changed when CBS aired it on TV.
Yeah.
Generations have now watched it at least once a year, but turning that into this,
yeah,
requires
not to talk about the tech stuff,
technology, including artificial intelligence.
We wanted to make sure we captured the original details.
Ravi Rajamani is managing director of AI for Google Cloud.
We custom-built an AI model that understood how Judy Garland looks, and then was able to generate the super resolution.
All right, look at this.
Of that.
We don't want to change how how she looked, right? We don't want to change the base.
A grainy close-up of Dorothy becomes
It's a fucking film look, man.
richly detailed, and then through a process called outpainting.
That is literally smoothing. It's literally smoothing. It is not more. Oh my god.
Though it seems like magic, we see the rest of the Scarecrow, the Yellow Brick Road, and the mountains of Oz.
This is the original movie,
Right.
and you can see the camera panning back and forth. And then when we get to Uncle Henry's performance, you can see how we create all the variations here.
Ben Grossman is the visual effects supervisor.
In the original, nobody saw him walk over.
Nobody saw him walk over.
But on a
Oh my god, in this version of the Wizard of Oz, which you can just watch for $200 in a big old fucking advertising ball, you can see an actor step into frame when he usually entered frame. Isn't that groundbreaking? The future of cinema, man. You can see the ceiling. You can see the fucking ceiling. And everyone has 6 fingers.
screen this wide, Dorothy's Uncle Henry needed to stay in the picture. So AI created a brand new performance out of actor Charlie Gray.
But can you see it's like spazzing around? Look.
So you can see that
Look!
Uncle Henry
It's not working. It's not even fucking working in the example that they have in the...
is walking over and
I'm gonna crash out.
the original cinematography. Those are performances that were prompted based on the context of the script and what the director has done and what their performances would be.
Is it just going to be flickering the whole time when you watch this?
All this advanced technology.
Bro, I'm not fucking dazzled.
There's an old-fashioned low-tech component to this Wizard of Oz.
Right. So they do a bunch of like tornado stuff, and they make the 4D type of experience, which goes completely against what the other guys said, that they don't want to change the experience that much. They just want to expand the frame, which is not the same thing as like making, like, just say that it's like supposed to be a different experience, but they are so douchey about like the way that they describe it.
Speaking of family,
So it always took her back to being a child and having that as her first starring role alone, and to know that everybody took care of her.
Lorna Luft, Judy Garland's daughter, says her mom would approve.
And I think
And that to me is like, okay, do you girl. You can say, oh, my mom would have actually loved this. I don't know if she got money for it or whatever, but just looking at this, how could you not say that this is a sort of, it's just kind of disgusting.
she would really think how wonderful.
How wonderful
that this is happening. And I'm sure that she would love the audience reaction.
That's funny. Wasn't he pointing the other way?
Like, you cannot tell me that this doesn't look like the Windows 8 background. It just is like, oh, Windows 7. It looks bad, man.
Way?
Of course, people do go both ways.
Why, you did say something, didn't you?
This Wizard of Oz opens August 28th.
Alright, so we will hear in 2 weeks' time what the experience of this will be like. I will not go, obviously a bit far away from me, but if anyone's reporting back from it, I would be curious, because this seems like such a waste of film. But it's also old film, I guess. It's just experimenting, they're just having a bit of fun with it, whatever, but I'm hating on it. But yeah, before we have another topic to talk about, which will be like movie marketing, but I need to grab something for that before we start doing that, so give me 1 second. Okay. Recently, marketing has been quite odd, I'd say, for films. It's been all ups. It's been all up and down in a way where something just like doesn't seem to find an audience, and you say, oh, I never heard of that movie, the marketing was so bad. And then there's the certain successes that end up driving a ton of people into theater, and it's usually the films that go in a more subdued approach. They like have the limited access that they give, but they know what to show and get people excited about an upcoming project. And I'm going to talk about a couple of different I guess recent stunts in marketing that have worked quite well, or we have yet to see unfold. There's this sort of recent Fortnite-ification of just getting everything into Fortnite. I believe we got Superman was definitely in Fortnite. I think all of the Avengers were at one point. Like, it makes sense for a lot of like these popular media characters of blockbusters to be in there. When there was an announcement at the end of July that PTA's latest film, which is supposedly not testing well with test audiences, they just don't really know how to place it, don't want to put it into the fall festivals because they feel like it will be sliced apart and ultimately hinder any sort of box office return that they could have for, I think this is Warner Brothers. Yeah, Warner Brothers. Instead of doing that, they are putting it into Fortnite. I don't know what the reason behind that would be, because it's seemingly, you know, there is a bit of action in it. There's like some shooting if you look at the trailer. I don't think it fits into the mold of like what makes sense to be in Fortnite, but they're doing it regardless. PTA in Fortnite. It's going to be in there. We have to wait and see what that will entail. But if you look at the recent success of Weapons, now opening higher than you know, the latest Disney sequel movie that had like a lot of nostalgia tied to it, and even the worldwide gross is still under the domestic gross of Weapons for that film. So there was something to that like people drove out in hordes like this to the theater, ran, and just like sat down in their seats and enjoyed the film. And it's not the first film that has succeeded, especially in the horror genre, to captivate a wider audience. I mean, this year already, which has had a movie that was unequivocally just loved with Sinners, had a lot of hype going into it because the trailers were good and you knew that Ryan Coogler could deliver. The same goes for like a franchise that was ongoing with Final Destination, and then with Weapons you basically had only the goodwill of people praising the unexpected turns that Zach Gregor took in Barbarian to basically pitch this movie. But that's not what gets people into theaters. You still need something that will grab people, and then just having that imagery of the children running out and then being lost, that sort of setup that was just based on that mystery, and then launching the film with sort of cryptic shorter, different sort of marketing that is based on fueling into the way that people consume it through social media, like basically showing well, this is a bit more recent, but like audience reactions to it is something that works really well. Obviously, working on what I've seen studios do more recently is like have way less journalists invited to that preview screening of the first round of Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know how sure they are about, like, you know, the people that they invite and how lenient they are with their ratings, but it often comes back to like a movie then is really close to like the 100% Rotten Tomatoes rating. And I think if it were more widely accessible, it probably would balance itself out a bit. And then they run on that like 100% Rotten Tomatoes rating a lot, and I think that still holds quite a bit of power to be able to claim that. But then there's the more traditional route that like Fantastic Four and Disney goes, where they basically just like infiltrate your every sort of consumer habit of like Kroger, Walmart, at Little Caesars, at AMC theaters, and at Regal. You can have like everything that is themed to it. Like it's the popcorn bucketification of like, it needs to be a Dune glory hole that you need to put your popcorn into, or everything, every movie got like their own popcorn bucket, even if it didn't make that much sense. So that's something that like gets people excited because they have that memorabilia that they go to the theater for, and it helps the theater to get more people in. And then, you know, you can see the Galactus popcorn bucket that you can get. Like a lot of that stuff is like part of the marketing, because people can expect that will be part of the experience at this point. And then with Marvel and with the MCU, you do have their own game that they can tie it back into. And that was Marvel Rivals, where they launched a couple of months ago. They added these characters of Fantastic Four, and then they also added, I think, a few new costumes. And then you do have the sort of integrations with, oh wait, this was still from Weapons, right? The way that they used it here with just like an interesting approach, the way that they, you know, pitched it. If you're just look at the stuff that they publish, like the focus on the 217, that like eeriness of mystery. But then like someone an Australian mainly Fortnite, I think, creator, Luciferoot, had like a shoot with the cast where they get invited to the premiere. Like that sort of influencer thing, I think, is working out pretty well for these studios. It seemingly is more and more the focus, because you can't really rely on the word of mouth from journalists to get people excited to go see a film, unless it's like they already know from other sources that the film is going to be good, right? They don't share those same values. So if you're just being sold something as like a package of someone else, and you get like a moment of, you know, you get to show them the costumes that their characters are in this game, and maybe one of them is a bit raunchy. That is great content, and ultimately that gets a lot of young like people's eyeballs onto this stuff. So I think this was actually like a pretty like you know, good way of marketing. And then for the recent release of Jurassic World Rebirth, which just 2 days ago came out on premium VOD, I was a bit surprised that Corridor Digital is already doing a VFX artist react on basically the Jurassic World movie specifically. Like the whole episode was this, and turns out it's sponsored by Jurassic World Rebirth, and the way that they integrated talking about the VFX, the thing is, because the line is so, now I'm bridging over from the marketing question to more of the question of like, obviously like Corridor Digital is not like, they're not film journalists that should point out stuff or like criticize stuff that they would hold back because it's sponsored. I think it doesn't really undercut them as VFX artists, but it obviously is more the case if you are basing your value on your opinion that you have on film, that you curate, and that should hold like some actual like value of like keeping to your voice and actually telling people if something's good or not, and not being influenced by, you know, just being invited to cool stuff and being invited to go to like set visits. But then you can fully go into, you know, the sort of realm of someone like wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Someone like Taya Miller, who I see pop up on my timeline all the time, who does like cosplays, and then basically attends all of these premieres. I think she has an account that has a couple of 100,000 followers, and she basically has a whole like a couple of videos on a profile where she has like a set visit where she gets to do like a shoot, a scene in the movie where they actually shot, I believe, in the Philippines. She was flown out there and like actually gets to go on a set visit and have one-on-one time with the cast and all that. And the frustration that I'm noticing out of my own sort of colleagues and people that work in the industry is that these interviews are something that were really important to keep the journalism thing afloat, because it's ultimately where the eyeballs are drawn are still like the people that you obviously recognize, the stars, more than the films themselves. Like, it's still for journalism really easy to, I guess, make money on interviews, and more they do go, like, the sort of focus is shifted to influencers who do these same interviews with the lesser care for actually having maybe a bit more of like a value, or like good questions, but it's more on just like a spectacle of someone famous being in front of them, rather than the interaction of, like, you know, the filmmaking thing as a craft. It's all become such an product that is ultimately the point of its success is comes down to the commercialization, how much money you can draw, and then that's the value of it all, not the actual like content, and the content is a bad word for it, but the actual, like, you know, value it has in itself as like a piece of art, a piece of entertainment. Obviously blockbusters don't aspire to be like more than certain things, but I just found interesting that, like, I mean, we do similar things here when we say we want to shout out a movie that is out on VOD now, and we just tell you what the movie is and it's out there, but there's no money on the back end to us being paid to, like, but it also is always a question of reach. Maybe we would be reached out to if we were like a big channel that has more sway and more influence over people. Maybe it's just all a question about size and how people perceive you just based on your numbers, and not the type of quality stuff that you can produce, right? Not that any of this, because it's popular, it's bad. You know, all bad, it's all dumb, it's whatever. But it's just interesting to see that sort of stuff evolve, because I'm not, you know, excluded out of this. Recently, I was invited by Disney Plus. Wait, where do I actually have it? Hold up, 1 second. Recently, I was invited by Disney Plus to all expenses paid on their end. I got like a neat little bag here to go to the HR Giger Museum for the release of Alien Earth, which comes out tomorrow. All expenses paid for it. So I'm a part of essentially the Swiss or German, or like the German-speaking part of like the sort of promotional cycle of this film. And that's the sort of first time that is like happening for me. It happened for the White Lotus. I think I was invited to an event where I got to see the first couple of episodes, but there was no tie to it, like you know, being more of that. I got to film in the museum. They had the museum closed for a couple of hours, and I got to interview HR Giger's ex-wife, who worked with him during the time, like was married to him and then worked with him and went to the Oscars with him while Alien came out. They gave me you know, gifts of like a book and all that. So for me, it was like, okay, I've seen most of the episodes of the series, right? I could give you a review of it apart from like the final 2 episodes. But in my mind, I can't really do that anymore, because I was like invited to this. So does that sway my opinion? Does it undercut it? And I think that's not really that much of a concern for anyone who's an influencer. And I think, yeah, the question then still is like, where's the value that you provide? Because ultimately, if something's good, if Alien Earth is good, then I do want to say it's good and not kind of call that into question, if that makes sense. Regardless, I actually do think Alien Earth is good, and you should check it out tomorrow. Again, can't really say that I'm not sponsored by Disney, because they literally paid for a bunch of stuff there, and I actually got to take home, which I did save up until this moment, something from the museum, from the bar there, which you can see, which is the official HR Giger 25th anniversary beer. And the special thing about this pour, which you will see, is that it's beer, but the beer is green. So cheers, I guess, to the release of Alien Earth. I'm a huge Alien fan, so I'm very much looking forward to I guess maybe rewatching the first 2 episodes that premiere tomorrow, and tomorrow on the channel we will also have like a bit of a feature introducing the show and featuring the visit to the museum, what I recorded there, and an interview with Mia, his ex-wife. That will be all out tomorrow, but in the meantime, definitely go check that out. And I will have a swig of the beer. I don't like beer. This is a good beer, and I've had it in my fridge for a couple of days. Just look how green it is. It really is. I love it. It's great. But yeah, so those are kind of my thoughts on the those are my thoughts on the current state of like movie promotion. It is a bit all over the place, where I don't know if the studios themselves know what actually will result in more tickets being sold, a bigger success for their films. But I'm kind of open for it to swing in the way where I guess influencers do have more influence, you know, over that sort of stuff. That isn't like ultimately, I think, harmful. It's just like if it takes away from the space that you know, journalists preside in, and there's more cut downs, and then the sort of closer look at all of this stuff, where there's a space for it to be like there's a breakdown, there's a deeper analysis of stuff, then that all of that jargon of the way that we talk about these sort of things just kind of slowly fades away. Actually, it doesn't slowly fade away, it goes away pretty quickly. But yeah, Alien Earth out this week, which brings us to the releases of the week. We do have a video out that goes over all of the releases in August. Obviously, on the weekly side we can make a bunch of additions. But yeah, like I mentioned, tomorrow, or actually later today for me, because it's already past midnight, you can go see Alien Earth, which the first 6 episodes I'd give that a bit of a 7 out of 10. Really solid show overall. I had a great time with it. I think the way they did introduces this sort of new idea of these 3 different types of android beings, one of them being the one that is a human that is then elevated through like an AI and like changed to like it was like 3 different ways to achieve immortality is like the theme of the series. One of them as you are a person who's augmented, one of them where you are a synthetic, a completely android person, and one of them where you are someone who has a human brain that is infused into a adult body that is an android, and that basically is like the core of these kids who are part of the of a mind that gets infused into someone that's like a teenager or older. So it's like that sort of mental stuntedness of being a kid in an adult body. I haven't seen Sharp Corner yet, but that one's out on Hulu today as well. Then we also got Marley Martin, Not Alone Anymore. Also out is Eddington. I might revisit this one. I think it's a bit of a hot bowl of a mess, but maybe it's a good kind of mess. Really is a bit of a swing and a miss for a lot of people, and some others really enjoyed it. So that definitely one that you have to check out yourself to make up your own mind. Smurfs, I avoided that one. Didn't do that well at the box office, so I guess they already are releasing it on premium VOD. Then on the 13th, a Netflix movie about a raunchy dog releases. That one's called Fixed. Then on Prime on the 13th, a new show seems filled with a lot of butterflies and action. And then Shin Godzilla, that rating actually comes from Connor. I haven't seen Shin Godzilla myself, but I guess I hear from him that it's pretty good. So that one's out back in theater. Then Americana is out in cinema as well on the 15th. Then Highest to Lowest, which I really did not like, and hopefully some people can tell me more about like what actually worked in this film. I probably wait until it comes out on Apple TV Plus in I think about 3 weeks time. But yeah, I didn't like this at all. I much prefer the Japanese original from Akira Kurosawa of the same name. I guess it's a 2, not a literal like number 2. But yeah, this was number 2 when it comes to like movie quality. To me, I think it was pretty bad. Nobody 2, I don't know if the embargo is up for that, so I won't say more than just having my rating out. I don't know if I'm allowed to even do that, but Nobody 2, I'll talk about that later in the week. Then East of Wall, that one premiered at the Sundance Film Festival. It was alright, but didn't really stick in my mind that much. But it's about like a group of teenagers who live all over. It's a family movie as well, and like living out on a ranch. It's an interesting film. But something that I would urge you to go check out if it's playing in the area is Happy End, a movie from Neo Sora, coming of age. It's basically set in Tokyo, where there's a constant threat of like the big earthquake happening that would like destroy the city and kill most of the people in it. And then it's about the daily school life of this group of friends that might not be, as close together when they are going to different directions once they graduate from school. There's different ideas of just like enjoying time together, but then also being under this surveillance of the boxes in there, where they're constantly being watched about everything that they could be doing wrong, and under that like close look of authority they have to try and navigate growing up. I love this film. I can't wait to watch it again. Then Went Up the Hill. Don't know much about this one, but that's out on the 15th as well in cinemas. And then out on VOD, Descendant on the 15th as well. On Hulu, you can go see It Feeds with Ashley Greene, I believe her name is. Looks like a horror film that probably not a lot of people will go see. But yeah, I don't know what it feeds on, but we'll see. Then the second season of Limitless with Chris Hemsworth. I saw that like Darren Aronofsky is like a showrunner or like director on this. I don't know. I haven't watched it yet, but it's like National Geographic. Might be worth checking out. I didn't really love The Legend of Ochi, that like A24 film that came out early in the year, but that one's streaming on HBO Max. Over on Netflix, I just got the screeners for this before I started streaming, so I will be watching that. Tomorrow is the latest Vanessa Kirby film, The Night Always Comes. I haven't read much about it yet, but it seems to be like that she's so it's in sort of a thriller plot where she needs to make 25 grand in a night, and that's basically, you know, the plot. It seems pretty intriguing. And then lastly, the re-release of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 1990s film that also I didn't see, that is also Kevin's rating. Sorry, not Kevin's rating, it's Connor's rating. Yeah, might need to check it out. I didn't grow up on the Ninja Turtles, so I can't really say much on it, but those are the new releases. And then I did tell you that there are trailers at the end of this. I just did not expect that. Well, I actually expected it to be going on for 2.5 hours, but I always underestimate that. Like, I can stream, I can game for like 6-7 hours, but if it's constantly me talking the whole time, I do need to have a beer in between. And also it's like, yeah, it's just, I'm making excuses, but I think I again will be doing maybe a separate stream just on Twitch, or maybe record my reaction to some of these. If there's like something worthwhile, I'll upload it, because I'll just give you a brief glimpse of all the stuff that like recently had a trailer out that I thought would be worth seeing. Like the big things I haven't seen yet is like Shelby Oaks. I like the Blue Moon trailer, which is the latest Richard Linklater movie. The threesome looked funny. Nuremberg looked really gray. Again, a bunch of these I haven't seen yet. What else? I'll just give you a brief overview instead of watching it. Yeah, a ton of these I just haven't seen yet. I'm curious about Megadoc. That one's about Megalopolis. Solomon's Story is a great film that is, I think, still out in limited release in the States. And we have an interview up with the director on the channel. One Piece season 2 I'm excited for. And then Swiped was just recently, was that like Lily James was in the lead there. Yeah, Jay Kelly, Rental Family, all of these I'm curious about, but I might do a second stream at some point later for me today, but I do need to get some other stuff in order. Need to go sleep. We gotta get that Alien Earth feature out, and then we got some other stuff in the works. And then later this week you will get the next episode of the podcast, which will be Connor and me going over the New York Times top 100 list of the 21st century. We looked at the list from a bunch of different angles of like who was featured, who was not, and all that. I think it's a pretty fun episode. And yeah, if you don't know Connor, then definitely go check out like some of the reviews we did together. Great guy. But I think that's pretty much all the news and updates I have to give you for the channel. And I will see you soon next Monday, back here for another stream, and maybe in between I'll watch some trailers and let you know about that as those as well. But in the meantime, definitely keep on watching movies. Like I said, what's on the dock this week? Definitely go check out Alien Earth. I think Nobody 2, if you like the first one, that's another one that you go see. If you haven't seen it yet, Eddington is out. And what else is there to watch? What would I recommend? Definitely go check out my new podcast, which I can show you here. Actually, can I show you here? No, I can't. Anyways, it's called Movies, Films, and Motion Pictures. It's an audio podcast, solo one that I'm started doing 2 weeks ago, and there will be new episodes out every Friday. But I hope to see you there. I hope to see you on this channel. If you haven't already subscribed, definitely make sure to do that. And we'll see you soon. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye. Have a good one.